Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to take a look at the story of Windows software. Windows is one of the most widely used operating systems in the world, and its story is a fascinating one. Our story starts back in the early 1980s. At the time, personal computers were just beginning to take off, and there were a number of different operating systems available, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. In 1981, Microsoft released its first version of MS-DOS, a command line operating system that was the de facto standard for IBM-compatible PCs. MS-DOS was a huge success, but it had one major drawback: it wasn't very user-friendly. In 1985, Microsoft released the first version of Windows, which was designed to provide a graphical user interface, GUI, that would make it easier for people to use their computers. Windows 1.0 was not a huge success, but it laid the groundwork for what was to come. In 1990, Microsoft released Windows 3.0, which was a huge success. It introduced a number of new features, including improved performance, better memory management, and support for a wider range of hardware. Windows 3.0 was also the first version of Windows to really catch on with businesses, which helped to establish Microsoft's dominance in the operating system market. In 1995, Microsoft released Windows 95, which was a massive hit. It introduced a number of new features, including the Start menu, taskbar, and support for long file names. Windows 95 was also the first version of Windows to be marketed heavily to consumers, and it was hugely successful in that regard. It sold over 7 million copies in its first 5 weeks on the market. In 2001, Microsoft released Windows XP, which was another huge success. It introduced a number of new features, including a new visual style, improved networking, and better support for multimedia. Windows XP was also the first version of Windows to be marketed heavily to businesses and consumers alike, and it remained the dominant operating system for many years.
Windows 7, 8, and 10. In the years since the release of Windows XP, Microsoft has continued to release new versions of Windows. Windows 7, released in 2009, was another major hit, while Windows 8, released in 2012, was met with a more mixed reception. Windows 10, released in 2015, has been another major success. It introduced a number of new features, including a new Start menu, Cortana voice assistant, and support for virtual desktops. Conclusion. And that brings us up to the present day. Windows has come a long way since its early days as a command line operating system, and it remains one of the most important and widely used operating systems in the world. Thank you for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed this brief look at the story of Windows software.